Jason Terrell, also known as the stage name The Game, totally helpless MC gaining attention mentioning Eminem. You know, recently The Game, he found himself trending, probably by accident on yesterday because there was a big game that they call it for the NBA, but he found himself being able to stick himself in there, and there were a lot of posts about the game just because of timing. You see, recently The Game, he was on a podcast just a few days ago, and he had a little bit more to say. Well, let's just say he had a lot more to say about Eminem. Now, he did give Eminem some credit on this, but mainly he talks about how Eminem is no longer relevant and no one is playing Eminem anymore. But before we get into, and I play the clip of what he had to say and we discuss about the Eminem situation and how he pumping up his album, it's important for us to understand the motives, understand the why. Because Eminem has never had a problem with the game. And you know, but the game he has managed to ruin. He is a perfect case study for how a rapper and a celebrity can just implode on themselves. So with The Game, why this album may not just only be his last, but why this album is so essential, well, it really stems from his recent financial situation and him being sued, and not just being sued, but his wages and his record label being seized. That's what I want to talk about on today, and how that all happened, and why this attack on Eminem is so important for the promotion of his album. You see, The Game, he had a show on VH1 called She Got Game, no pun intended. Now, one of the contestants on this show was called Priscilla Rainey. Now, Priscilla, she ends up suing The Game for $10 million during the show because she claims that The Game, he actually took her out and he assaulted her. But it was not just The Game, but the producers also conspired to help The Game. This is what her 4-page complaint says. On May 22nd, 2015, The Game, unbeknownst to the plaintiff, conspired with show producers to take the plaintiff from her hotel room on an after-hours date. Initially, the plaintiff was led to believe this outing was part of the show. The plaintiff was further led to believe that it was mandatory that she go out that night with The Game. Rainey says in this 4-page complaint, The Game took the plaintiff to the sports bar. The Game was out of control. He was highly intoxicated on alcohol and drugs, which was typical, and assaulted plaintiff on several occasions that night. This included him forcefully reaching his hand inside her dress to rub her bare vagina and her buttocks. So Rainey demands $10 million for charges of battery and the attendant physical, psychological, and emotional damage. Now the game, he took this filing and this lawsuit very nonchalant, and he created several memes and Instagram posts about her. By the time the court proceedings was taking place, The Game, he didn't even bother to show up. So in 2016, Judge Teller, he went on and awarded her over $6 million in punitive damages. After getting this court ruling, The Game, once again, he takes to Instagram and he trolled her, and he had a lot to say about her in this court proceeding. Let's get one thing clear. That thirsty Gatorade mascot of a transvestite will never see 10 million or anything close to a penny of my money, People think because they read a headline in bold print is true. She won a judgment of $10 million, and that means that a judge, because I'm overseas, has given this chicken a chance to maybe be able to respond to this lawsuit by the 26th of this month, which they will do tomorrow a.m. Soon as I'm home, me and my lawyers will eat this case like a box of Minion Twinkies on sale at Walmart. VH1 has a separate suit filed against them by this bot that they will also win because, number one, this biatch in my Snoop Dogg voice is a liar. She has a history of theft and fraud and prostitution arrests and a lot of other tranny-panny activity in her past that makes this false claim irrelevant. Don't be fooled by these accusations or the dollar amount in the headlines, because I put that on my favorite auntie's poodle. This broad ain't getting Every girl on the show will tell you, I never touched this chick or ever desired to be anywhere near her. She got kicked off the show. As a result, she filed this lame-ass lawsuit, which was probably her intentions before the show was ever even started. She was begging for my attention. And the entire time, we shot the show and was given the ultimate Major League Baseball curveball. So that upset her and made her little wee hard. So she did what all chicks like her do when life gives them no options. They sue you. This is really a crying shame. So at this point, I will use the crying shame emoji. Crying shame emoji, crying shame emoji, crying shame emoji. See you in court, Mr. Rainey. Oh, and I say Mr. because your mustache is probably a bit longer than it was during taping time. Taping being that it's about to be spring, and that's usually when mine is at its healthiest. You know, for the best mustache edge up you can find, tell him I sent you. And it's on the house, you dusty biatch. You. And then he leaves some hashtags. He says, hashtag tell him about the scratch sniff wig you be wearing. Hashtag hair ass underarms. Hashtag biatch was using my Old Spice. And a couple other hashtags. So after that Instagram post, a few months later, the game, he then files another appeal to have them dismiss those punitive damages, and at least some of those punitive damages. But the judge, he stuck to it, and he ordered him to pay that $7 million. So what does the game do next? As he needed cash, and he needed cash fast, the best way is, if you get sued, then sue someone else for even more. And that's exactly what the game did. So that's exactly what the game do. He sat out and he sued Viacom, the third-party partner of VH1. And basically in his lawsuit against Viacom for $20 million, his attorney, they suggest and they complain that Viacom did not properly evaluate and vet her. She should not have been on the show. They brought up and they found out, which was very true, that yes, she had been arrested for prostitution on several occasions. Also, she had some assault and batteries and misdemeanors and even felonies on her record. So they were arguing that she should have never been on the show. And if she's not on the show, then the game wouldn't been able to assault her? So the judge, he gets that and he dismissed that case and orders him to pay the $7 million. He said that Viacom nor VH1 cannot be held liable for his actions. Not only that, you see, in 2019, the judge wanted to make sure that she gets her money because the game, he did set himself up with all the triggering and the posts, and he was talking about the judge and a lot of other stuff. So Priscilla Rainey, the judge granted her ownership of the game's independent label. Prolific Records. She owns the game. She literally owns the game. No pun intended. So now, not only do she get the wages and any money coming into the game's, well, her newfound label, but the court also in wording garnish other wages and checks. This is what the reading says. Any and all rights, title, and interests of the defendant in any money, property, or payment due to defendant from LA Prolific in the form of, among other things, commissions, royalties, contract receivables, deferred compensation, income, wages, payroll, salary, and accounts receivable. Failure by the defendant to comply with this order may subject him to contempt of court proceedings. It's further ordered that all third parties who receive notice of this order are directed to pay any and all money or property due or to become due under this order directly to the plaintiff. One, by check payable to Priscilla Rainey and delivered to plaintiff counsel until and to the extent necessary of the pay and judgment in full. So all money that the game has coming in to that label or any accounts payable to him outside of that until the judgment is paid in full goes to Priscilla at this point. Now, to be fair, Wack 100, the game's manager, he did take to Instagram and he stated this. Yo, the last time I checked, Wack 100 owned all royalties to Born to Rap. Wack 100 was like, yo, last I know, I was getting all the royalties. So now, where are we at today in 2022? You see, she made a post and her attorneys, they claim that Wack 100 and the game, Wack 100 is making several different shell companies now so that she cannot get paid. She has also stated that from the timing in 2016 where she was ordered to get that money, she has only been paid over $200,000 of the $7 million. And so now the attorney of Priscilla has noted that the game is only using Cash App and Square for payments so that his wages won't get garnished. So in 2021, they filed a motion and they asked the judge to grant them permission to garnish not only the game's Cash App payments, but also any payments he is getting through to Square. So she's very persistent on making sure that she gets this $7 million at this time. Now, after hearing that she is trying to garnish even his Cash App, she just takes to Twitter and he says, suck my dick. So we can kind of see the position and the predicament and just how crazy it is for the game right now and why this next album is so essential. I mean, this is what he stated in just a few days ago for further promotion and to get people hyped up that this is coming. This is what he said about Eminem.
And I'll take it away from you. When have you ever heard an Eminem song in the club? When have you ever heard in the locker room like, yo, this is the new M, I'm about to go crazy? Because I mean, I'm not taking away from him. I don't hear Eminem in the streets. I just don't. Yeah. And so again, it's like, it's not saying that he can't rap. The skill set is there. Mm-hmm. I'm just a better rapper. Mm-hmm. I just haven't been given the light that he's been given. They didn't put the money behind me that they did. They put...
Yes, it is the same argument that we've heard countless other, rather clout chasers or rather opponents of Eminem use. Hey, you're not playing in the hood, you're not relevant. It's to bait Eminem Eminem and to tease his supporters and his fans into making them come watch his album and buy it and take note of it and get him out in the public. I gotta be honest, you know, it had worked for MGK. After MGK got all that attention and all that clout and even got a response from Eminem, the world was looking at him. Everybody was waiting to see what he was going to do with it. And unlike The Game, MGK was ready. He already had the album ready. Weeks later, actually days later, he set out and he released Binge. Yeah, he released Binge. But this ain't about MGK, Mom's Grumpy Kid. This is about The Game. You see, The Game, rather he did this too prematurely, but he hasn't had anything yet. Now, he does state that it's now gonna come out on June 17th, that we can expect this diss track and we can expect Drillmatic. And I want to know, what do you all think? What do you all think about the case? Because now you all are starting to see why it's so essential that this does well, that this does numbers. Not just so that The Game can finish paying off, you know, the new owner of his record label, but maybe also have a little money left over so he can continue to play the game. I thank you all for watching. If you are new to the channel, and maybe you want to consider subscribing. If you are a fan and if you are watching, go ahead, like and subscribe. As always, I just want to say, keep it positive, character first. I'll see y'all in the very next video.